Okay. Um, I don't know where to start with this one, but as a forewarning, there's probably going to be a lot of rambling and disconnected and incoherent thoughts all put together in this long form stream of consciousness episode because I have an idea. I usually always have an idea of what I want to talk about when I make an episode. But I think the timing of this episode, along with the circumstances currently, there's just more I want to talk about, and I think it's going to be a little unorganized. So, just as a forewarning to anybody listening to this. So, this episode, it's called The Purple Zone. What is the Purple Zone? I like to think of the Purple Zone as the in-between of the blue zone and the red zone. Now, so descriptive, probably very confused still about what I'm talking about. The blue zone represents the neutral state, the peaceful state. Whenever it's calm and there's no storm, you have a cool sunny day and the water is undisturbed. That's the blue zone. It's when you're in your normal groove and there's no imminent event or thing that you're looking forward to, thing that you're nervous for. You're in the blue zone. The red zone is the opposite. It's the time during the event, during the stress, during the non-normal event that's occurring, the thing that is unique to your daily schedule. The purple zone is the in-between. It's when you know that there is going to be a red zone. Because usually when you're in the blue zone, you're just in the blue zone and you're chilling along, and you might stay in the blue zone indefinitely until something comes up, right? And until that something comes up, that something being the red zone, you're just always in the blue zone. But when it does come up, and you know that it's going to come up soon, you know about it, but you're not there yet. That's how I would describe the purple zone. Purple zone is that state of being where you know something important, something significant is going to happen soon to you. Some important decision you're going to make, some important talk you're going to have, or some important event that's going to occur. And it hasn't occurred yet, and you know it will occur in the future. And all you can do is wait and wait and think about it. Be like, when the time comes, am I going to be saying the right things, doing the right things, reacting in the ways that I should be reacting? This state of confusion, of a lot of thinking, of a lot of pondering, and a lot of self-doubt, honestly, I think that's the purple zone. So, I think I'm in the purple zone right now. The reason why I wanted to make this video is I've been in the purple zone for a while here. And the reason why I want to make an episode today is step one of entering the red zone and leaving the purple zone is going to occur in just a few hours. And after that, perhaps I will enter the red zone and leave it and be back into the blue zone. Because perhaps I will be denied. But perhaps not, and perhaps I'll stay in the purple zone for another week until the true red zone comes. So, I'm talking a lot in very abstract terms. But that is just the precursor for explaining why I'm making this video, this episode. That I'm doing it now because it's the short time I have before things can all be crumbling down in a few hours. All right, let's give some actual details now about what I'm talking about. What is the purple zone that I'm in currently? So, in some of these previous episodes of this podcast, I've talked about relationship woes. I think it's time for an update. The relationship woes have turned into nothing, in the sense that there is no relationship anymore. So yeah, me and my significant other at the time broke up, and man, it's kind of hard to say. It's the first time I'm really talking about it to myself out loud like this. Of course, I've talked about it with friends and family, trying to get over it, but this is the first time I'm just talking to myself about it out loud. So it's a little tough on knowing where I want to go with this, what I want to talk about. So sorry again, bear with me. Let's start with some overarching details. Right? This is the context before I explain why I'm in the purple zone right now. So, when this happened, we can put a date to it. We broke up January 22nd, 2023. What are the circumstances around it? Well, the previous days before this, we'd had a few talks. We'd been on phone conversations, and she had voiced a lot of concerns and complaints that she had with me and the relationship. There were things that she wanted me to be doing and that I was not doing. There were things that she wanted from the relationship that I wasn't providing, that we weren't living up to the standard and the level that she wanted in the relationship. So we had two of these conversations in the days before, the 20th and the 21st. These being lengthy conversations where we're talking about how we feel, grievances that we had, and for me, it was a lot of trying to explain the actions and the attitudes that I had before this. All right? And it was a lot of talking, and it was a lot of me realizing how at the time I wasn't living up to what she wanted, and how in some ways I don't think I could have lived up to what she wanted. There were certain things where it was just she had expectations that were on a level that I don't think I could have provided. So going through those conversations, it was very tough for me because it was a lot of self-realization that, I wasn't as good as I thought I was. There was a lot of things that I was lacking that I guess I just never thought about and never came to the top of my head. In that way, it was a bit of a watershed moment in that really helped me realize a lot of the deficiencies and things that I still had to work on. Besides just that focus on the self, it was also two very emotional calls because, I've been with my partner for over 3 years. In fact, it was like 3 years and around 4 months, which is a hell of a long time for a relationship, at least for me at that time. I've only had 2 relationships, and this is the longest one that I've had by far. So I think I should clarify, I've only had 2 romantic relationships, but you can count all kinds of friendships and relationships that you have with other people in your life as relationships, right? So once you know a person for such an extended and long period of time as 3 years and 4 months has been, and you're engaged in such an intimate relationship where there's so much that you have shared in between experiences, secrets, feelings. It's very hard when it comes to an end. When it just comes crashing down all in the span of really just 1 and 2 days. Everything just ended. You could say, if we're tying back to this episode, that was a red zone, and I was in a blue zone. And really, there was no purple zone because this was unexpected. It wasn't something that I knew was coming and I could prepare for. So it took me hard. On the Sunday, it happened over a phone call, and the circumstances, when I describe them, it really does sound like a parody, does it not? I just finished performing, basically. I'd been performing Chinese yo-yo at an event, and I just come off the high of the performance because it was one of the best performances that me and my partner that I performed with have had for a while. So I was coming off of this quite happy. I was feeling good. I was feeling like I'm doing well. I'm feeling good right now. I'm feeling like, in a way, unstoppable. I'm feeling like there's nothing that I want that will bring me down from this high, because it's such a good feeling right now. Earlier in the day, I'd already begun suspecting, though. So these were the feelings, but I already kind of knew at this point that something might dampen this. Something might be wrong. In fact, not might be wrong, probably is wrong. As I said, the previous 2 days before this, right, we had some long conversations, and the outcomes from them were not very positive in the sense that it didn't give me a good feeling afterwards. You know that feeling when, I don't know if you know that feeling, but let me describe the feeling. You've had like an argument with someone, and it's in, again, this is like a purple zone. It's in that weird in-between purple zone before you see them again and perhaps finally resolve it. So all that you're left with is feelings of, did I say the right thing? Am I going to regret what I said? Should I have said something differently? And how could I have done it differently? I was kind of in that zone. And I think I was further put into that zone because the day of January 22nd, 2023, that day of, I had also just felt like that day of, she'd called me earlier in the day, and she said that she wanted to talk to me. Now, of course, when someone says something like this, when they say they want to talk to you, instead of just straight up saying what they want to talk to you about, you already know that it's not a good thing. Something has happened, something has changed, and it's not something that is being taken lightly, because otherwise she would have just told me right then and there. But that is not what happened. That was not what happened. What happened is it was a very serious topic, and as you can guess now, that serious topic was she wanted to break up, right? So going throughout the day, even before the performance, I had been thinking, like, she's said she wanted to tell this to me. And I can kind of guess what it's going to be. I mean, she just used a little bit of reasoning. Can't be that hard to figure out. I still powered on through the performance. Still went and did what I had to do. Performed out there. And it was a great performance. And for those few hours before the performance, during the performance, and immediately right after the performance, I managed to keep it out of my mind. I managed to focus and understand and put my mind to the task that I was doing at hand, instead of unnecessarily worrying about whatever could happen. I kept myself out of that situation's purple zone, where I knew there was going to be a call coming at the end of the day that was going to be a very important call. Something was going to occur, something significant. And I kept myself out of the purple zone of thinking and worrying about what it could be for as long as possible. But eventually, it happens, right? You have the call. And we had the call. And the call was at a place that, is now just going to kind of always give me memories. I went to a campus building since I was planning after this call to go to a friend's party, right? And so I was thinking it was more on the way to go to campus, a campus building, take the call there, and then go to the friend's party instead of going all the way home. So I took this call literally in just a campus building. And we had the call. Not 100% sure how long it lasted, whether it was like 30 minutes, perhaps 45 at the largest end, but I don't think it went longer than that. And really, it happened. She told me that she wanted to break up and that she thought it would be better for both of us. And when I heard that information, I didn't know how to react. So I didn't know what I was supposed to say. And this thing happened in the first relationship too, right? I mean, there's a reason why I was in a second relationship. It's because, well, the first one ended, and in the first one she broke up with me too. And when that happened, I really didn't know what to do either. I didn't know what to say. I didn't know what the hell was going on. I had a better idea this time. I kind of suspected that this was going to happen, but I still hadn't figured out what my reaction was, what I was supposed to do. So during the call, I just call back to a previous episode. I just sat there. I sat there and I didn't know what to say. My reaction was very muted, you could say. I just sat there and I didn't know what to say. I didn't really process what I was feeling and what I was thinking. And one thing that I did when I was there during the call, or more importantly, one thing that I didn't do, was because I really didn't know what to say. I didn't even try and argue or say like, there's no way, say like, this has to be a mistake, say we can still work this out. I really didn't say anything. I just kind of accepted it. And when I think about it afterwards, it's kind of like, was I supposed to say something? Should I have said something? Would that have been better? I when it was happening, I kind of felt like I didn't want to be the type of person that you see often in fictional media. The person who can't let go, the person who's combative, the person who is making it harder than it's supposed to be. I didn't want to be that person. But perhaps I went way too much to the other end, and I was the person who just let it happen, who didn't say anything, and I sat there. And really, I think even though I'd kind of expected this, all the signs, the fact that she wanted to talk about something important, in air quotes, later in the day, and the fact that we'd been having troubles before then, and having all these long conversations, it should have pointed me, and it should have told me, it should have hinted to me, and it should have better prepared me to know that this was coming. I had the idea in my mind, but I think part of my mind was also like, there's no way though. It can happen, but I don't think so. I think that she'll want to stay together. And she didn't want to stay together. And I think this is the crux of the troubles, the thoughts that I've been thinking about and trying to reason through these past few times, these past few days, is how do I move forward when I still want us to get back together? And this underlying thought that I've had has been motivating the actions, the thoughts, the general mentality that I've been having these past few days, these past few weeks after the event has happened. So, January 22nd, let's continue building the context of what everything happened. January 22nd, this thing happened, and I think I want to finish describing what happened. I think the assessment I can give myself now, nearly 5 weeks after it's happened, is to say that, well, I was most definitely in a state of shock after that happened. And when I'm in when I was in shock, I think it explains why I didn't know what to do. I didn't know what to say. I didn't know how to feel. I didn't know how to go moving forward. In a way, I just felt like a robot kind of just going through pre-programmed actions. Because afterwards just happened and I was like, okay, time to go to the friend's party. And I went to the friend's party and I was there and I had fun, but I mean, I was just there. Went to the friend's party and I was just still in a state of shock, and I think that persisted for a couple days afterwards when I really just didn't know how to feel, didn't know what to do, wasn't sure of my feelings. Only feeling that I was sure of was shock and sadness that all of these 3 years that we had together has just come to an abrupt end just like that. And just me thinking like, how did it get to this situation? Because the days afterward, it was just a lot of regret. Thinking about what were the things I should have done differently so we didn't get here. I was really still thinking like, it's so hard to move on and not just want it back again. And spoiler alert, I'm still thinking like this right now in the purple zone. And I think the red zone will finally resolve this. Either we do get back together, which is unlikely, improbable, or I'm going to have to finally deal with these feelings head on and move on. It's going to be slow and hard, but I'm going to have to do it. So after January 22nd, there came this week of very tumultuous emotions. I didn't know how to feel. I didn't know what to do. I knew I had a sense. I knew I couldn't let go. So what happened was I told some of my friends. I told my sister as well. And basically, one of the questions that I asked them was, is it a good idea to try to remain friends with her afterwards? Just be like friends that still talk, you know? Well, now that I think about it, it's very easy to see. Of course, I didn't want to just be friends. I still want to get back together. And I'm sure that all my friends, they saw that too, and they said it in the kindest way possible. They were like, it's probably not a good idea, especially this soon after, to try and maintain contact and still be friends, right? And they're correct, because if I was really just trying to move on, this is the worst way possible you could do it. Being just friends is not true. You're not just being just friends. If we did that, I would have just felt even stronger by the continued contact that I can't get over this person. I want to get back together. Right? And I was just going through those thoughts, and my friends and family dissuaded me on I shouldn't be doing that when they're correct if you think about this. Now I can think about it slightly more objectively, though I'm still not quite there because I am in the purple zone. I I didn't I wanted to get back together, and that feeling was definitely still there. So an unfortunate event happened where I was calling my sister to talk about this, and then her phone died. So then she tried to recall me. Well, she was going to recall me, but I tried to recall her, and by habit, by accident, and I truly believe it was an accident. I don't think I was consciously trying to do that. So perhaps it was my unconscious self that was just like, I can't get over it and I need contact now. I accidentally clicked to call my ex, and she got the notification, and she texted me like, did you try to call me? And I was like, yeah, by accident, because I was trying to call my sister. And from there, I did what I should not have done if I was trying to really move on. But at the same time, now I know that I wasn't really trying to move on, right? I was still feeling these thoughts, so I don't think I could have stopped myself from doing what I did. And what I did was we started a conversation. And it really wasn't that long. It was just like, in total, less than 15 texts back and forth. Just saying like, how are you doing? Who have you told so far? How are you feeling? Yeah, I did that. So if I was really trying to move on, it's the worst possible thing I could have done, because now I'm just talking again with her, and I'm feeling those emotions so strongly of, I miss her so much, I love her so much, I don't want this to end. So impulsive me, who wanted to get out of this purple zone, where the red zone is finally getting over it and has no specified date, so I would have been in a purple zone indefinitely. Mr. Me, who did that, I, on Friday, or it was actually on Thursday, had this stupid fucking idea of asking, do you want to get back together? And of course, she had no idea what to say. She never replied back to that in a timely manner. So what I did was write a Google document really outlining a lot of the thoughts and feelings that I had at that moment. That moment being 5 days after the breakup. And I sent this document to her to try and convince her that there's a shot. And 3 days later, on the Monday, she replied and said that basically no, she wanted to move on. Or she thought it wouldn't work. So with this attempt that I've done of trying to get back together, let's get to the crux of the situation, the context of what I'm in today. I'm planning on trying one last time to get back together. How is this different from the first one? Well, I'm planning to do it in person. I want to fly to where she's living now in the city, meet up with her there, and have a talk. And why do I think this will be different? I think one of the main things, like, if it was truly something that I could have gotten over, me trying the first time and then she saying no. I think if you look at this in a vacuum, that should have been where I take her no and it is the final resting place for any of my hopes to get back together. That should have been how it is, right? I should respect what she said. I shouldn't keep bringing it up because it's only going to keep hurting and making it fresh for both of us. But I thought about this for so long. After that happened and she rejected me for the second time, I was like, okay, I will take this and we'll move on and we'll be mature and we'll be emotionally mature. We'll take the rejection and we'll move on. And I think I did an okay job at that for around 2 weeks. Around 2 weeks. And then Valentine's Day came. Oh. Valentine's Day came, and just having the presence of knowing people all around me, they're having fun, they're having great experiences, fulfilling relationships, and I'm here. And it's so dumb, selfish, self-centered way to think about it, because I mean, come on, there's so many people in the world that are all single. We're all going through it in the same way. Tough it up, buddy. But at the same time, I think you have to give me a little leeway, because this really is just 3 weeks after we broke up and this shit happens, and I'm like, man. So, I mean, I think I really was trying my best after that rejection happened. And I was like, we're going to move on from this and try my best. And the way I tried my best to just not think about anything, to not really do anything stupid, was to literally just try and put it out of my mind. The way you did that was just by distracting myself, by doing other things, busying myself with homework, making sure that I was working on other projects, spending time with friends, just so I wouldn't have to think about this. I wouldn't have to think about it. And I think that's just what Valentine's Day did. It wasn't even that it really brought up the thought that I wanted to get back together. It was just, it brought up the thoughts and the topic again. And once those thoughts came, the things that I tried to keep buried, the things that couldn't give me closure, that I tried to move on from the first time, just came back. And then it forced me to look at it and to be like, I couldn't move on from it first time. I tried burying it for like 2.5 weeks and I can't do it. And why is that? Well, the reason is, I think the main reason why I'm doing this still is, it doesn't feel like I did my best, and I don't think I got closure. If it truly was the last time, this was a shit way of having closure. Because after the call on the 22nd, I haven't audibly spoken with her yet since. It's all been through text, right? And this is, how can you go through a breakup well, especially one where you've been together for 3 years, 4 months. And this is how you end it. She didn't come in person to tell me. It's just through a phone call. Then after that, all the communication just through text. It felt incomplete. It felt like this is how it ends. Just through little speech bubbles on my iMessage. It ends without me even being able to see her, hold her, hug her, just talk to her face to face one last time. This is just it. It felt like I couldn't get closure from that. I felt like I was really, truly missing something. And this thing that I was missing, I couldn't just bury it away again. Because the times around Valentine's Day just brought up these thoughts because, well, this whole situation is associated with love and relationships, right? And I don't think I could bury it this time. So that brings me to the now. Brings me to the now when I am like, to the now where all I can think about is I feel like I need one last shot. I need to talk to her. So how I've convinced myself is I feel like if I am in person, there's one last chance that I can try and convince her to get back together. Because I think part of it is also in these 4 months that I've had to think about it, to try and move on. I've thought a lot more about my behaviors in the past, the things that I've messed up on, and what I truly value, and how much I really missed from her, having such a close companion that I can really talk to and love and feel for and love. And that's just, and how much I miss that. And that sounds so selfish, but I just want her again. And I think I can be the person that she needs me, she wants me to be. I think this past month has given me so much time and opportunity to just think about my mistakes in the past and to think, how can I do this differently so this won't happen? Which then motivates me to think, I want to give this one last shot. One last shot. And even if it doesn't work, I think I need to see her in person to really begin the healing process. Because otherwise I'm going to keep thinking like, this is how it ends. And I think I will move on even if I didn't. But it's not going to be an easy, and it's not going to be as clean of a move on, because I'll always be feeling somewhere deep down like, this is how it ended. This is awful. How could I have let this be how it ended? So, this is the red zone. What is the red zone? I'm trying to fly to where she is and convince her that we can get back together one last time. If this doesn't work, I'm moving on. I'm done. I'm telling myself this now, but I think unconsciously I will also feel more like that is true as well, because I at least get to say and see her one last time in person. And it'll feel more complete than the first time where it was just all through text, which just doesn't feel complete. So why am I... That's the red zone. I'm in the purple zone, and the red zone, part 1 of the red zone is coming up real quick. Because part 1 is, I don't want to do this unannounced out of the blue. Which means part 1 is asking her, if I were to be in the city that you're living in next week, are you willing and free to talk to me? And that's what I'm going to ask later today. And I'm in the purple zone right now because just the build up and the trepidation I have before I have to do that. I've been thinking so much over these past 2 days. Sorry, not 2 days, like 2 weeks, that when I first got this idea, more like week and a half, or almost around 2 weeks, since I've got this idea since Valentine's Day to actually try and do this. It's been thinking back and forth. Is this a good idea? Preparing myself to just get rejected, either on step 1 or step 2, or just anywhere in between. And just keep thinking, am I just being self-destructive to both of us by bringing this up again? But I think I've resigned myself to think I need to do this, otherwise I'm not going to be able to move on and have the closure that I need of being able to at least see her in person one last time. I don't know. I'm in the purple zone now. And in a few hours from now, if all goes well, hopefully step 1 will be finished. And we'll see where it goes from there.